Chapter 126, Wife's Ties After Lotus Root Breaks. In the afternoon, while Fang Hao left the hospital to cover a class at the university, Su Ro also came to the company. She received a call from the finance director to handle some handover work here. She informed the chairman of the board about her leave, even mentioning it when the chairman visited her mother in the hospital. The chairman was very understanding, assuring Su Ro not to worry about work matters. She could come to the office whenever she pleased. After completing the handover, Su Ro returned to her office and was surprised to find someone who made her uneasy. Him. She quickly closed the door and said, "What are you doing here? Didn't I tell you I don't want to see you? We've broken up." "I don't agree to break up." "Why are you like this?" "My husband keeps a close eye on me, and my mother is sick. She can't be upset. If she finds out about us, it will upset her." "What do you want me to do?" "Zhou, I went to see her." "When?" "When you left, I went up and chatted with Zhou. "You, aren't you afraid of being discovered?" "Little Turtle isn't in the hospital." "What am I afraid of?" "Even if I were in front of him, he wouldn't know it's me." "Su, I don't agree to break up. I see you look tired. Come to my place tonight, I'll cook something delicious for you and nourish you." "No, I won't go. I'm pregnant." "Is it mine?" "No, it's my husband's." "Humph, I envy that little turtle. He actually made you pregnant, he's quite bold. But, that doesn't stop you from coming to me." I won't go to you anymore. My husband is about to divorce me, and I'm pregnant with his child. If I come to you, will you marry me?" "Why bring this up again? Our relationship is quite pleasant, isn't it?" "I don't want this anymore. I just want to go back to my husband. I beg you, don't come looking for me. My husband should know about your existence now, but he doesn't know who you are. Please don't hang around me anymore, okay? If you really care about me, think about my situation. Please leave." Su Ro opened the door, indicating for him to leave. "Seeing you like this, my heart truly aches." He came in front of Su Ro, gently touching her face, very tender. Su Ro just leaned back a bit, not avoiding it, nor did she push his hand away. "Stop talking, let's go." But he closed the door, then embraced Su Ro, and directly kissed her. Hospital. Director Yang Wenjin returned from a meeting in the city. Just as she got out of the car in front of the main building, her secretary quickly approached. "Director, Zhang Jing is waiting for you in the office." He asked for information about Zhang Jun's treatment, including the previous expert consultations. He even requested the operating room video, and we had no choice but to provide it. "Oh, what does he want with these?" "I'm not sure. I asked him, but he wouldn't say. He's waiting for you in the office." "Oh, has there been any change in Zhang Jun's treatment data?" "Yes, it's better than this morning." "Do you think Zhang Jing and the others might consider transferring him to another hospital?" "The treatment course isn't over yet, it's not the time to transfer." "Stop guessing, I'll go upstairs and ask him. We'll know what he wants." Yang Wenjin entered the office and indeed found Zhang Jing lying on the sofa, playing with his phone. When he saw Yang Wenjin return, he just glanced up briefly, not stopping his interaction with the phone. Yang Wenjin added fresh tea and approached, saying, "Director Zhang, welcome to guide our work. It seems like an official matter for Zhang Jing to come to my office today." Zhang Jing closed his phone and said, "Xiao Yang, how many more years do you have before retirement?" "Indeed, it's an official matter." Yang Wenjin replied, "I have been re-elected for 3 terms, and my age is up. In June next year, I will retire." Zhang Jing asked, "Do you have any new ideas?" Yang Wenjin hesitated and said, "Director Zhang, what do you mean by that?" Zhang Jing said, "The Provincial People's Hospital is one of the top 3 tertiary hospitals in the province. You need to prepare for the handover. Will the next recommendation be yours, or will it be arranged by the organization?" "In principle, it's mainly my recommendation, and the final decision rests with the organization." "Zhoulong? Does Director Zhang have another candidate in mind?" "I have someone I like, but you won't use him, and you wouldn't dare." "Hee. Who?" "Fang Hao." "This. You see, I knew it." "Forget it, I'm not part of your system, so I won't interfere. However, I can still decide on my son's matters. I observed the treatment in the past few days, and in terms of treatment effectiveness, you can't compare to Fang Hao. Don't be in denial. Today, after watching Fang Hao's treatment, my son has improved significantly. I thought, are you intentionally hiding such a good doctor from treating my son?" Director Zhang, this doesn't exist. We wouldn't hide a good doctor. We have been using the best resources to treat Zhang Jun these past 2 years, it has always been the case. Enough, my eyes are not blind, I can see. Fang Hao performed the surgery, proposed the treatment plan, and his treatment is effective. From now on, let him be the attending physician. You all cooperate with him. Yes. Let Fang Hao take charge. Yang Wenjin felt like she had been suddenly ambushed, and it left a bitter taste in her mouth. She couldn't figure out what exactly Zhang Jing was up to with this sudden move. After Zhang Jing left, she called Fang Hao but found that he didn't answer. She then approached Lu Jing and asked, "Where's Fang Hao? If he's not staying in the hospital, where did he go? To the traditional Chinese medicine hospital, or the maternal and child health hospital?" "Oh, director, I sent him to cover my class. It's clinical diagnostics. He's pursuing a PhD and has 4 years of residency experience, more than enough to handle it. Why are you looking for him? Even teaching a class is entrusted to him. You seem to trust him a lot. Just now, your father-in-law came to find me and requested Fang Hao as the attending physician for your husband. I asked him to come and hand over the information. My father-in-law has never intervened in Zhang Jun's treatment plan. He probably hasn't talked to Fang Hao either. Why does he suddenly trust Fang Hao? I'm not sure. Enough pretending. You secretly had Fang Hao give acupuncture to your husband. I didn't say anything. In fact, I initially considered assigning Zhang Jun to Fang Hao, but I was afraid your family would say our hospital doesn't value the case, letting a newly promoted attending physician handle it. Since your father-in-law stepped in, it makes it easier. I'll assign Zhang Jun to Fang Hao, and he will be in charge from now on. No, director, you are the director. I will definitely come to you. Besides, Aunt Yang, you are also half of my matchmaker, and Zhang Jun is half of your product. Now, with after-sales issues, if I don't come to you, who should I go to? Enough, stop pretending. Go back to your work. Your outpatient department has taken on a lot of workload this year, you need to catch up. Oh, and your thesis has passed the quantity check. 3 articles at once, was it done by Fang Hao? Who said that? I wrote it overnight in a week. Lu Jing said seriously, but quickly left. After Lu Jing left, Yang Wenjin's expression became serious. She called her secretary and said, "Check the records to see when Fang Hao treated Zhang Jun, and also investigate Fang Hao's whereabouts during this time for me." Yes, I'll check right away. Chapter 127, You Mess Things Up. University Campus. Professor Fang. Fang Hao walked out of the medical school, heading towards the library. He intended to borrow a few books. The university library housed a specialized book collection that required a teacher's qualifications to borrow. Therefore, Fang Hao could only read inside. Currently, he was holding Lu Jing's library card, which allowed him to borrow the books. On the way, he smoked a cigarette. Behind him, Jin Xiaojian approached. He walked side by side with Fang Hao and said, "Professor, did you come looking for me?" "Oh, I'm not looking for you. I'm here to substitute a class." Substitute class? Impressive. But with your professional competence, teaching undergraduate students is more than enough. Professor Fang, do you have some time? These days, I've been busy with my mother's affairs in the hospital. I don't have time to write. No, Professor Fang, do you take private consultations? Yes, I do. Who? What's the medical condition? Where? It's for one of my buddies. He's not sick, it's his wife who's pregnant. He can't let people know it's his doing. He wants to avoid using the hospital method for an abortion. Fang Hao said, "In this situation, with your abilities, and the connections you people have, what's the difficulty? Just go through the green channel in the hospital to get it done." "We can't do that. My friend's wife's mother is a leader in the hospital. Moreover, after the abortion, she'll definitely need recuperation, and it can't be hidden. Professor Fang, you're strong in traditional Chinese medicine. Can you use herbal medicine for a safe abortion, without harming the woman's body, mainly leaving no traces? Otherwise, we can't avoid the eyes of her mother." In a hospital leadership position? Is it still at the Provincial People's Hospital? Who is it? The head of your gynecology department, Director Li. It's her daughter. This can't be done. Fang Hao didn't expect it to be Li Xiaoxi's daughter. He suddenly felt a headache. He had already earned Li Xiaoxi's hatred after causing a scene in the gynecology department. If he went and dealt with her daughter now, wouldn't he be seeking death? He recalled something and said, "Isn't Li's daughter very well behaved? Isn't she still in junior high school? Is your friend that shameless?" Oh, that's in the background. Director Li has an older daughter, born before marriage. This matter is kept confidential. If my friend didn't personally tell me, and given her firm refusal to go to the hospital, we wouldn't know. Professor Fang, rest assured, she's 18 now. Jin Shaojian lowered his voice and continued, "My friend said money is not a problem." "Where is it?" "Tianjifeng." "Tianjifeng?" Fang Hao's heart trembled. He had been worrying about how to enter Tianjifeng, and now, unexpectedly, it seemed like a door was opening. He said, "I haven't seen the specific person yet. I can't draw conclusions. Once I see the person and conduct an examination, then I can decide whether it's feasible or not." "That's acceptable. I'll make an appointment with my friend. I'll call you when the time comes." Fang Hao nodded, glancing at Jin Shaojian. He noticed that this unimpressive second-generation rich might be the key to entering Tianjifeng. He saw that the guy was carrying a painting under his armpit, and the signature on the painting caught his eye. It was Zhou Jiejia's. He asked, "Do you still like paintings?" "It's not me who likes them, someone in our department does." "Professor Fang, do you like them? If you do, I'll give it to you." "Can it be sold?" "It doesn't seem to be worth much." "Does anyone still like it?" "The painting itself isn't valuable, but the person who wrote it is the school flower. Zhou Jiejie from the art department, our Jiangdong University school flower." "Oh, let me see how well it's painted." Fang Hao became intrigued, feeling that there was something wrong with Zhou Jiejie appearing at the Nigong sanatorium. However, he couldn't pinpoint where the problem lay. When he arrived at the sanatorium, he discovered that his wife's alias, Zhou Jiejie, led to the replacement of the computer server that same evening. Even the registration book at the entrance was changed, and then Zhou Jiejie appeared. Zhou Jiejie's appearance, her hair, figure, and even her car were extremely similar to his wife's. Fang Hao knew that such a coincidence was improbable, but he couldn't figure out where the problem was. Examining the calligraphy, he found it to be a delicate piece of cursive writing. Of course, Fang Hao thought it looked good, similar to printed characters. However, in terms of collectible value, it was at least not apparent. He couldn't appreciate it. Fang Hao returned the calligraphy to Jin Shaojian, saying, "You're not mediating even this?" "Hee, everything can be mediated." "You're impressive. You're wasting your talent by not inheriting your family business." Fang Hao shook his head and bid farewell to Jin Shaojian. After some contemplation, he went to borrow some books. Then, he took a detour to the art department. In the corridor's display cabinets, he could see many works written by Zhou Jiejie, including some prose and diary entries, all handwritten. After looking at them for a while, Fang Hao noticed some clues. "Suro, it was you who went to the sanatorium. This Zhou Jiejie is just imitating your handwriting. Your writing habits are different from Zhou Jiejie's. While Zhou Jiejie can imitate your writing style, she can't replicate your writing habits. Moreover, Zhou Jiejie's own writing habits will unintentionally reveal themselves during the process. If I were a bit foolish, I might not have seen through it. Unfortunately, you've messed things up." Fang Hao took out his phone, glanced at the video of his mother-in-law fainting, and couldn't help but sneer. "Wench, you've really shot yourself in the foot." He received a call from Lu Jing, instructing him to return to the hospital when he was free. There was something important. He hurried back and went to Lu Jing's office. "Director, what's the matter?" "Take a look. These are all of old Zhang's medical records and treatment information. From now on, you're the attending physician." Lu Jing briefly explained that her father-in-law had found the hospital director, who then granted Fang Hao attending physician qualifications, entrusting him with Zhang Jun's treatment. That ungrateful fellow actually went to find the hospital director. Now, the director dislikes me even more. The director has always taken pleasure in dealing with his son-in-law who is a rival in love. Now, that ungrateful fellow has added another grudge, making the director think I'm pushing things behind the scenes. Well, I still need to hold on to Lu Jing's thigh. I'm going all out. Fang Hao said, "Director, I don't know how to express my gratitude for your trust. I will do my best." "I trust you." Lu Jing now only trusted Fang Hao. Especially after Fang Hao administered acupuncture twice to Zhang Jun, leading to significant improvements in his mental state and condition. Lu Jing regretted not insisting on having Fang Hao take charge of the treatment plan from the beginning, thinking others could replicate Fang Hao's approach. She suddenly thought that when Fang Hao told her about the treatment plan for myasthenia gravis, he had personally stated that he left room for maneuvering in the plan. Could it be that he also left some room for maneuvering in Zhang Jun's case? Thinking about this, she couldn't help but apologize to Fang Hao. Fang Hao, I need to apologize to you. What? When I said I would ask the hospital director about why he doesn't like you, I kind of brushed you off. I didn't go ask. Moreover, after my husband's surgery was successfully completed, and a viable plan was obtained, I somewhat underestimated you. Now I realize I was wrong, and I need to apologize to you. After speaking, Lu Jing bowed to apologize. Director, Fang Hao was stunned, not expecting Lu Jing to be so humble and lower herself to such an extent. Even if it was for her husband, he still had the urge to return good for evil. Chapter 128, Why Deceive Yourself and Others? Lu Jing apologized to Fang Hao. Fang Hao was surprised and quickly said, Director, please don't apologize like this. I am a doctor, and I won't be ambiguous. I will do my best to help Mr. Zhang recover. When I mentioned that the director doesn't like me, it was just frustration. If I don't perform well, of course, the director won't like me. Besides, the relationship between the director and my mother is quite delicate. They both pursued my father when they were young, so being caught in the middle, I naturally won't be favored. Perhaps that's the reason. Oh, this is an old story. How do you know about it? Director Liu told me. Director Liu is familiar with my mother, so she knows about the past. After 4 years, it turns out I've become a punching bag. Hee hee. Fang Hao grinned, feeling both helpless and indifferent. Although he had long obtained the prescription rights, and the gynecological incident was caused by his master, and he was the one who negotiated with the patients and performed the abortion, appeasing the patient's emotions, he should have received credit. However, in reality, he got nothing. Oh, so that's it. Well, it's the affairs of the older generation. I'll talk to her about it later. Lu Jing suddenly realized, frowned slightly, and didn't expect the director to hold a grudge like this. Fang Hao's phone rang. It was a call from Lu Yu. She had received a report on a patient named Zhou Fen and wasn't confident in her judgment, so she asked him to evaluate it. He took the materials and left. Now, he had a dedicated office space in the inpatient department. Since he was now in charge of Zhang Jun and Zhou Fen, he took a careful look at Zhou Fen's X-ray results. Although he was optimistic, he noticed some anomalies. He then went to the ward. His wife was already waiting in the ward. She greeted him, but Fang Hao ignored her and walked past her, leaving her disappointed. Fang Hao entered the ward, asked the male visitors inside to leave, and checked under Zhou Fen's mattress, finding a pen and notebook with mathematical symbols on it. He shook his head and said, Are you really not cherishing your life? Writing these meaningless symbols will keep you lying here for a few more days. Hey, you're just scaring me. I'm much better now. Okay, you're the doctor, and what you say goes. I won't write anymore, alright? Don't. I'll find a writing board later, and I'll help you sit up to write. That way, you can become a VIP on a monthly basis here. Country bumpkin, you're the one who wants a monthly subscription. Your whole family is on a monthly plan. My whole family includes you, right? Hee hee. Ignore you. I'm going to sleep. His mother-in-law couldn't argue with Fang Hao and closed her eyes to sleep. After Fang Hao left, she glanced and noticed that Fang Hao hadn't taken the notebook. She smiled subtly. This kid understands everything. Fang Hao went outside and asked the young woman from the Zhou family, You weren't here this afternoon? The young woman asked, No, what happened? Fang Hao said, When my mother woke up and needed something, if someone had handed it to her, her wound wouldn't have been disturbed. Now, it's wasted. She'll have to lie down for a few more days. Why didn't you say so? I was just here watching. I saw my mom fall asleep, and I instructed a nurse. I went to the company to ask for leave. I'll be back soon. I didn't expect my mom to need something. Su Ro was a bit flustered, especially under Fang Hao's visibly distrustful gaze, which made her extremely uncomfortable. Actually, in the afternoon at the company, when someone kissed her, she didn't resist. If it weren't for someone passing by outside the office at just the right moment, startling her, she might have let that person take off their pants, maybe even indulging in some office romance. Unexpectedly, in just that short period, a problem occurred with her mother. My mom is a workaholic, and it's impossible to pull her away from work. How about this, when she wants to start working, let her research assistant be present. She can instruct him, but she shouldn't do the calculations and proofs herself. Fang Hao said this to his mother-in-law in the room, but he knew that his mother-in-law wouldn't have time for work during the treatment. The medication had some side effects, causing drowsiness or sleepiness, and many visitors made it impossible for her to focus on work. Suro followed Fang Hao and said, "I really went to request leave, it wasn't intentional." "No big deal. You don't need to blame yourself. Your legs are yours, and you're a free person. You should still consider what I told you before, I'll let go." Fang Hao stopped and turned to look at the guests at the ward's entrance. He said, "Your family has encountered such a big problem, and he should have been informed. He should have visited your mother by now. So, what are you hesitating for? Husband, it's not what you think. What you're thinking doesn't exist. Why deceive yourself and others? It's not early, and Jia Jia and Tian Tian should be out of school by now. Go pick them up. I won't be coming home for dinner tonight. I have patients here and can't leave." Fang Hao said this and didn't linger with his wife. Whether his wife went to the company to request leave or took this opportunity to be with her lover didn't matter to him, because his wife's affair was already a confirmed fact. The cuckold hat had been on his head for 4 years, and that was also an undeniable fact. Now that his wife was pregnant, the child might be her lover's. Once the pregnancy stabilized, a paternity test could be done. If it wasn't his child, his wife would have nothing to say. This woman wasn't worth it. Once his career was his wife and child, but now, in the end, he realized that his wife was an unfaithful person. What he was thinking about now was the profession of being a doctor. A man should not make a woman his career. Fang Hao went back to his office, discussed with Lu Yu, and confirmed that there was no issue with his mother-in-law's treatment plan, it could continue to be used. He modified the treatment plan for Zhang Jun and then went to execute it. Since Zhang Jing wanted to change the attending doctor for his son, the treatment for that day was naturally suspended. Now that Fang Hao had adjusted the plan, he proceeded accordingly. In the first round, he administered routine treatment like intravenous therapy. In the second round, he applied traditional Chinese medicine methods like acupuncture. For this type of cancer, only a combination of traditional Chinese medicine and Western medicine could achieve results. "Brother, you're amazing. I feel much more relaxed now." After receiving acupuncture treatment, Zhang Jun did feel that his body seemed to be returning, that this was his body. Unlike before when he felt confused and always thought of his body as a burden. He could already walk with some support. Previously, he needed someone to help him, but now he could take a few steps on his own. The Zhang family, who were present as caregivers, were very happy. Someone took a short video and shared it in the Zhang family's parent group, allowing everyone to share in the joy. Zhang Jun could earn enough to buy 500 sets of houses. In the Zhang family, he was considered outstanding. At the age of 40 or 50, he was a core figure in the family. Zhang Jun's recovery was definitely good news for the Zhang family. Chapter 129, Father's Accident. In the evening, Fang Hao didn't go home. In fact, for the next 4 or 5 days, he didn't go home to sleep, he stayed overnight in the hospital. The sofa in his attending physician's office and the one in his mother-in-law's ward were both available for him to use. He didn't need to go home for the clothes his wife brought for him. After 5 days of continuous treatment, Zhang Jun's condition improved rapidly. The cancer cells that had metastasized from liver cancer were now under control in other organs, gradually decreasing. As long as Fang Hao's treatment plan was followed, outpatient care would be sufficient. As a result, Zhang Jun was discharged. Coincidentally, the next patient admitted turned out to be from the suburban Backlight Rehabilitation Center. As the attending physician, Fang Hao also obtained a pass to enter and exit the rehabilitation center, making it convenient for him to go there anytime to treat Zhang Jun. After 5 days of treatment, the condition of his mother-in-law, Zhou Fen, also improved significantly. If it weren't for the wound reopening during the last incident, she could have been discharged and transferred to a specialized rehabilitation center. On this day, after completing the treatment, Fang Hao discussed with Lu Yu and others, deciding it was time for his mother-in-law to be discharged. His mother-in-law and others were all very happy. Fang Hao hadn't been home for a week, and he felt a bit apologetic. His parents had come from the countryside, and he hadn't been home to eat with them. Therefore, after finishing the afternoon treatment, he informed Director Lu and went home with his wife. At home, Fang Hao didn't see his parents. He found out from a phone call that his parents had gone to buy groceries. Half an hour later, his parents did indeed return with large bags of vegetables. Fang Hao asked, "Why did you buy so much? We can't eat all of this." His mother replied, "It's for Xiaorou's father." Fang Hao frowned and asked, "Isn't there a nanny buying things for them? Why do you still have to go?" "Dad, what's wrong with you?" He saw his father rubbing his waist, and his face seemed a bit painful. As a doctor, Fang Hao could tell there was an issue with his father's waist. "It's nothing, nothing. I'm fine." Fang Hao's father straightened his back, indicating that there was no problem. "Can you deceive me? Then I've learned nothing in these years. Let me take a look." Fang Hao went over, lifted his father's t-shirt from behind, and saw that his father's back had patches of medicated plaster. When he touched it, it felt swollen, and even with a little pressure, his father winced in pain. "Dad, did you fall?" Fang Hao asked. "It's nothing, nothing. Just getting old injuries." Fang's father chuckled, trying to pretend everything was fine. But it was really painful, so his laughter seemed forced. "Mom, what's wrong with my dad?" Fang Hao pulled his mother aside and asked quietly. His mother glanced at the room, seeing that her daughter-in-law wasn't at home, and said, "Your dad fell. It's been 3 or 4 days. He's been in pain at night and can't sleep. He didn't want me to tell you." "Why? I'm a doctor. What can't be said? You're delaying things like this." "Dad, where did you fall? How did you fall?" "Mom, this old man's bones are fragile. It's not child's play." Seeing his mother hesitate, Fang Hao made his words more serious. Sure enough, when his mother heard this, she panicked and said, "He fell on the stairs, in Xiaorou's father's villa." "How did he fall?" "When your father was wiping things, he slipped accidentally." "Wiping? Why did you go to clean? Did Xiaorou's father ask you to go?" "No, the nanny asked us to go." "What? You went because the nanny asked you? Why? Why are you so foolish?" "Son, people say you're a son-in-law, so you should help out. While you're working at the hospital, if you don't do the housework, we have to do it. Why are you so stubborn?" "I'll be damned. The nanny told you to go, and you went? Why? Are you that naive?" "How? People say you're an in-law, so you should help with the chores. While you're busy at the hospital, if you don't do the work, we have to do it. Why are you so stubborn?" Fang Hao entered the living room and said to his father, "Dad, your son is not a freeloader, and your son doesn't owe anything to the Su family." Fang's father said, "You rascal, how can you forget gratitude and be ungrateful? Xiaorou's family is so good, and she's so beautiful. She married you without asking for a dowry. Otherwise, without a house, a car, and savings, could you afford to marry her? Have you ever inquired? In this city, when people marry, they need a house, a car loan, and hundreds of thousands in dowry. We can't provide these things. But Xiaorou still married you, gave birth to a pair of twins for you, and is now pregnant with twins again. She has sacrificed a lot for you. Our Fang family should be grateful." Fang Hao knelt down with a thud and said, "Dad, it's all the son's fault, causing trouble for you, but your son is really not a freeloader. We don't owe anything to the Su family." "Nonsense, by staying at the hospital, aren't you benefiting from the Su family's connections?" "Dad, who told you that?" The nanny said. "Haozi, you've been wronged. It's because I thought too naively. We, rural people, marrying a girl from the city should involve some corresponding dowry. It's wrong not to. I thought I was taking advantage every day, thinking it was a blessing from heaven, but I didn't expect you to be wronged. Don't worry, Dad is still in good health. A little fall doesn't matter, it'll be fine after resting for a few days. Get up, this is at home. If it were outside, it would be embarrassing. As a grown man, don't kneel casually. Dad, don't think like that. We don't owe anyone. I and Suro, it's not that kind of relationship, let's not talk about this. I'll take you to the hospital for an examination first." Fang Hao felt deeply pained and indignant, but he remained rational. Fang's father still didn't want to go to the hospital, but he couldn't escape his son's persistence. He had no choice but to go to the hospital. Instead of taking his wife's car, he hailed a taxi and took his parents to the hospital. On the way, Fang Hao called Lu Jing, who had already prepared the examination form and even paid the fees. When he arrived, Lu Jing was guiding them and took them directly for X-ray examinations. "Your lumbar vertebrae are injured and quite severe. This is an old injury from the past few days. Why didn't you come to the hospital when you fell?" "Ah, Fang Hao, it's all my fault. You helped treat old Zhang, and I neglected your family. I'm sorry. As a doctor, Lu Jing could tell the problem from the x-ray. She calculated that the injury was from 4 days ago, precisely when Fang Hao was busy treating her husband. She felt it was due to this that Fang Hao's father got injured. Director, don't say that. It has nothing to do with you. My dad needs to go back to our hometown for treatment for some time. I'll take a 2-day leave. No problem. You focus on treating your father. You don't need to worry about the hospital. You've been working continuously for a week, it's time to take a break. Lu Jing readily agreed. She remembered something and gave Fang Hao the key to the Mercedes, suggesting that he use it to drive back home. Her reasoning was that a better car would be less bumpy, avoiding aggravating Fang's father's injury. Moreover, Fang Hao was Zhang Jun's therapist, so he might need to be contacted for something. If he didn't have a car, it would be inconvenient to travel from the countryside. In reality, she thought that Fang Hao, coming from the countryside, driving a better car back home, would be more dignified. This time, Fang Hao didn't refuse. He prescribed some pain relievers for his father and then went home first. Chapter 130, Living Under Someone Else's Roof. After returning home, Fang Hao asked his parents to pack their things. He planned to send them back to the countryside overnight after dinner. Su Ro, understanding the situation, felt guilty and came in to help Fang Hao cook. As Fang Hao's face showed neither joy nor sorrow, Su Ro found his expression unfamiliar and felt helpless. She wanted to vent her frustration, as Fang Hao's parents' injuries had nothing to do with her. Why should she be given such an attitude? Despite the awkwardness, dinner proceeded relatively smoothly. Fang Hao, seeing that his parents were reluctant to leave their grandchildren, knew he had to send them back. Having his parents here made him feel heartbroken, they were looked down upon, and he couldn't bear it. Most importantly, he felt inadequate. If he had a house of his own at Tianji Peak, he could have brought his parents over, which would have been more respectable. Now, living in Su Ro's house and essentially the Su family's house, it was clear he was living under someone else's roof. As Fang Hao packed a few clothes in the bedroom, he felt his wife hugging him from behind, her expression full of reluctance. He said, Su Ro, put away your pitiful crocodile tears. I endured it these past few days because my parents were here. Do you really think that what you've done can erase everything? Husband, I truly didn't know your parents would have an accident. I told them not to go clean, but they didn't listen. I was busy going to the hospital to see my mom. You can't blame everything on me. I treat your parents as my own, their injuries also make me distressed. Su Ro felt she shouldn't bear all the blame. Fang Hao said, enough. Don't you understand? You all think that my parents, coming from the countryside, doing some cleaning is normal. Isn't that expected? Even your family's nanny sees me as a son-in-law. What face do my parents have? They're from the countryside, born as humble people. Fang Hao, you can't say that. This is how others see it. I've never looked down on your parents. Have I treated them poorly? Have I asked anything from you in these 4 years? I treat your parents as my own, their injuries also make me feel distressed. Su Ro felt wronged and angry, and tears were on the verge of falling. Don't pretend in front of me. I see through you. Forget it, I'll leave soon. I don't want to argue with you. Originally, I planned to tell you about this when I came back home. Seeing how good you are at pretending, I'll let you see how disgusting you and your family are. Fang Hao took out his phone and sent a surveillance video to Su Ro. He said, see, does this woman look familiar to you? Your mom was there at the time, seeing this woman fooling around with a man. She thought it was you betraying me, embarrassing her, so she had a breakdown. Oh, by the way, do you even know who she is? Yue Xia Huo. Your fake Li Kuei act was intended to disgust me, but unexpectedly, it disgusted you too. If you hadn't acted recklessly, your mom wouldn't have died. He glanced at his wife, feeling that she was truly despicable, then slammed the door and left. Su Ro held onto the phone, staring at the scene on it. Her mother saw Yue Xia Huo and then collapsed. This scene felt like a knife cutting her heart in half. Why did it turn out like this? It shouldn't be like this. Fang Hao drove around for a while, reaching the vicinity of Tianji Peak. He asked his parents to admire the scenery, saying, Mom and Dad, the next time I come to pick you up, we'll be living in a house here. With my own capabilities, I'll buy a house here and bring you to retire. Wow, the surroundings are so beautiful. But houses here must be expensive, right? His mother asked. His father raised his eyebrows and said, good? Look over there, it's all dark. Does anyone live there? I still think Suro's house is better. There's a teacher living opposite, and it's convenient for Tian Tian and Jia Jia's tutoring. It's also close to the elementary school. Here, there's neither a store in front nor a village behind. What's good about it? No, even if we have money, we shouldn't buy here. Fang Hao chuckled and didn't say much. Covering a distance of 100 or 200 kilometers, and with the good performance of the car, Fang Hao arrived home a bit faster than usual. The car was spacious and stable, so his parents didn't feel too tired returning to the village. Later, Suro called, asking about their well-being and even talked to Fang Hao's mother for a long time. Her attitude made Fang Hao's mother very happy. But Fang Hao felt that this was Suro's strategy, an attempt to win over his parents. It only made him feel more disgusted. The next day, Fang Hao went up the mountain early to find herbs for his father. After collecting a bunch, he crushed them and applied them to his father's back. After half a day, his father felt less pain. He said to his wife, "Our son seems to have learned something. With this, I'll be fine after applying it for 2 days." His mother cautioned, "Don't be reckless. Fang Hao said to apply it for 5 days, so you should listen to him." "Oh, where did that rascal go?" "He went to the county town to hang out with his classmates and friends. He won't be back until tonight. This rascal is wandering around every day. Why doesn't he stay in the city to accompany his wife and kids? What is he trying to do?" "Yeah, I'll talk to him later. Xiao Rou is also pregnant now, he needs to be more careful." Provincial People's Hospital. After the final examination, Zhoufan received good news that she could be discharged for recuperation. However, she felt uneasy because she didn't see Fang Hao. She asked, "Where's Fang Hao? I'm about to be discharged, and he hasn't come to check on me." Liu explained, "Don't you know?" Fang Hao went back to his hometown. He said his father fell and injured his back, so he took his parents back to heal using traditional methods. "Don't worry, I sent him your situation, and he said it's not a big problem. You can be discharged. He'll come back in a couple of days to check on you." She handed over the discharge documents to her assistant and continued, "Zhou, Sister Han, where are you planning to recuperate? I'm thinking of taking a few days off as well. I could join you." Zhoufan didn't express her opinion. Not seeing Fang Hao, her joy about being discharged vanished. She asked Suro, "Why didn't you tell me that Fang Hao's father fell? Where did it happen, and how did it happen?" Suro replied, "Mom, don't worry about these things now. You should focus on your recovery." Seeing her mother unhappy, she added, "Fang Hao's father fell in your house. Your cousin asked them to clean and wipe the stairs handrails. His foot slipped during the cleaning, causing the fall. Do you know about this?" "I didn't know at first. I only found out yesterday." "Ah, Fang Hao's parents came from the countryside and fell like this. How can Fang Hao think about it? And you didn't even know? What have you been busy with every day? Tell your cousin to leave. Oh, before she leaves, ask her to apologize to Fang Hao. What kind of person is she, making Fang Hao's parents clean? Shameless. Alright, I'll do as you say."